The recreation of an object already perceived is termed smriti, memory. Memory is strengthened by spiritual vigor. When one successfully eliminates all impediments to spiritual progress by developing spiritual vigor, born out of sadhana and move towards the spiritual goal without interruption, it is called dhruva smriti, or fixed memory. The waves of extroversial propensities create obstacles in the way of dhruva smriti, and the waves of introversial propensities keep the mind oblivious of everything. But when dhruva smriti is perfect, that is, when one's only object of ideation is the supreme entity, and none other, one attains samadhi. At this stage, the mind becomes fully identified with its goal. In subtle analysis, this is also a type of a positive stage of mind. The mind takes the form of the physical object or psychic idea it encounters. This assuming of a form in the mind is called psychic problem or abhoga. Unless the mind is liberated from its problem, permanent peace is not possible. How can one attain liberation from one's problem? Liberation cannot be attained through repulsion. Repulsion for an object is a negative tendency. This too is a kind of problem. Although the mind attaches itself from its object, it is nevertheless attached to a non-existent form of that object. When the mind withdraws from its object, citta becomes suspended in unmanifested prakriti due to the attainment of vashikara siddhi. This is not a supreme attainment. This state of samadhi is neither static samadhi nor nirvidya, seedless samadhi, nor sampragyata samadhi. Within citta there remains the possibility of future birth, even after a million years, and thus the attainment of permanent samadhi, kevalam samadhi, is not possible. The samadhi attained in this state can be called nirvidya prakritilina samadhi. Unless this nirvidya samadhi is permanent, we may at best call it asampragyata or nirvikalpa samadhi, not salvation of a permanent nature. In the states of prakritilina and videhalina, two of the 7 devayonis, the samskaras lie latent in the seed form waiting for a congenial environment to acquire a proper physical base. Videha means bodiless state. Lina means merged or dissolved. Videhalina are caused by one's bhava pratyaya, bundle of samskaras. The bhava pratyaya contains the reactive momenta which cause one's rebirth. The state of prakratilina and videhalina are nirvidya and not asampralina, because although the seeds of the reactive momenta are burnt, one does not attain full omniscience. A spiritual aspirant attains the state of videhalina as a result of shunya dhyana or ideation or nothingness. Through such ideation, a sadhaka develops a psychic problem of nothingness. Yet even in this state, there remains the possibility of rebirth. Those who embrace nothingness as their absolute goal develop a void in their citta in the absence of cognitive faculty. As a result, they are unable to establish themselves in the supreme cognitive stance and attain salvation. The spiritual cult which encourages this practice is certainly defective. Both the prakritilina and videhalina states are established in negation. Thus there is certainly a possibility of rebirth. The true path of sadhakas is not the path of bhava pratyaya, but the path of upaya pratyaya, path of positive ideation and exhaustion of samskaras. Sadhakas will have to devise methods to establish themselves in samadhi, beyond the periphery of the mind. They should neither become attached to nor detached from the objects created by Prakriti, for this is not the path of enjoyment or sacrifice, but the path of psychic equilibrium. Prakriti is not the entity to be worshipped or denied. The goal is Paramapurusha. He is the only object of ideation and adoration. By ideating on him, one's whole being gradually becomes identified with a cognitive faculty. Hence one should worship Purusha, not Prakriti. The perpetual state of Nirbidya Samadhi, acquired in the state of sadhana of Purusha, is called moksha or salvation. Samprayata samadhi, in which only the eye feeling persists, is experienced when the citta is in a state of total concentration. One who has attained this samadhi gradually acquires the state of omniscience. After citta attains samadhi, due to its unwavering adhesion on one particular problem, it can easily attain samadhi on other pabla too. Once the mind gains control over one object, it can simultaneously gain control over other objects as well. What is omniscience? The knowledge regarding the past, present and future is called omniscience. The seed of omniscience lies in every human being, but the degree of its expression varies from person to person. In some the seed is ripe, in others it is unripe. Samprayata samadhi causes the seed to ripen. In permanent savikalpa, the seed assumes vast proportions. In that state, one's object no longer remains within the limited periphery of the unit mind, but becomes as vast as the macrocosm. One's potentiality becomes immeasurable. By virtue of sadhana, the ungerminated seed ripens and assumes unlimited proportions. Thus elevated sadhakas do not need to acquire knowledge from external sources. The bliss of knowledge spontaneously manifests itself in them due to macrocosmic grace. Tatra nirati shayam sarvagyatvad viyam, the seed of omniscience is manifested in them. This expansion of citta is only possible in savikalpa samadhi. A restless citta can never attain samprayatna samadhi. Yara samadhi, samadhi on crude material objects, should never be called samprayata samadhi. What is yara samadhi? Yara samadhi occurs when the mind becomes so infatuated with a crude material object of ideation, be it money, opulence, landed property, etc., that it takes the form of that object, to the exclusion of all other objects of the world. The world of samprayata samadhi may be positive or negative, crude or subtle, psychic problem. The goal of asaprayata samadhi, like prakritilina, nirbidya, or videhalina, etc., is neither nirbidya asamprayata without seed, nor sa bidya asamprayata with seed, but is an intermediary stage. Samprayata samadhi has 4 stages. The first stage is called savitarka. One attains this samadhi when the mind is concentrated on worldly objects, such as one's children, relations, or wealth. In fact, savitarka samadhi is synonymous with yara samadhi. Negative savitarka samadhi occurs when one keeps one's mind aloof from the thoughts of family or material wealth. The desire or non-desire for crude problem amounts to the same thing as far as the citta is concerned. The second stage is called savichara samadhi. This samadhi occurs not when the citta is engaged in crude psychic problem, but when it becomes fully concentrated in the mad pursuit of more subtle pabla, such as name and fame, etc. If the citta wants to free itself from these things, one attains negative savichara samadhi. The third stage is called sananda samadhi. In this samadhi, citta only has one psychic problem, the feeling of bliss. This samadhi also has a negative counterpart, which occurs when the only psychic problem is, I am not enjoying bliss. The fourth stage of samprayata samadhi is called sasmita samadhi. In this samadhi, the unit cognitive faculty has only one object, the eye feeling or asmita. When this eye feeling disappears, leaving a subtler singular flow of consciousness, it is called asamprayata samadhi. In asamprayata samadhi, there only remains the cognitive faculty purusha. When all other objects or factors disappear and only cognitive faculty exists, it is called purusha kyati. The way to attain purusha kyati is to maintain the ideation that purusha is my object, purusha is my subject, and I am his object. Thus, to return to one's original source with complete self-surrender. Purusha kyati is only attainable through the practices of Ishvara pranidhana. Pranidhana is devotion attained through japa kriya or repetition of one's Ishta mantra. Thus, Ishvara pranidhana is the incantation of the name of the Supreme Being with cosmic ideation. Ishvara pranidhana does not mean to escape from the world, nor to avoid one's responsibilities like a coward. On the contrary, Ishvara pranidhana is a dynamic spiritual practice performed with the courage of a lion. The more one masters the technique, the more the mental waves become straightened, and the easier it becomes. Through Ishvara Pranidhana, one can reach the state of asampragyata samadhi, yet for this attainment dhyana is actually more effective. Ishvara Pranidhana is a more effective practice for the attainment of savikalpa samadhi, because during Ishvara Pranidhana the mind is temporarily concentrated in the state of ekagra bhumi, the fourth stage of mental development, the state of one-pointedness of mind. Whatever little amount of I-feeling still persists can be finally discarded through the practice of dhyana. Asampragyata samadhi is attained following the complete elimination of the I-feeling. To ideate on Nirguna Brahma, non-attributional Brahma, is impossible. Unit beings can only ideate on Saguna Brahma, the Purusha liberated from bondage. And Tarka Brahma, the tangential point between Saguna and Nirguna. Ideation can only occur when both the subject and object continues to exist. Ideation for one who has remained free from klesha, afflictions, karma actions, vipaka, requital of samskaras, and ashaya, bundle of unserved samskaras, since eternity is meaningless. Microcosms undergo unserved afflictions due to their original actions. Afflictions cause the requital of accumulated samskaras, and that leads to the formation of a bundle of unserved samskaras. The one who meditates on that entity, who has no mind or feelings, will never be showered with grace. How can the ever free Nirguna Purusha shower his grace on human beings? Only Saguna Brahma and Taraka Brahma can shower grace. Those unit beings who have liberated themselves from bondage will remain liberated. They become one with Saguna Brahma and are thus called great personalities or Mahapurusha. Only they have the right to shower grace upon microcosms. Infused with divine grace, microcosms make rapid progress along the path of Ishvara Pranidhana. They attain supreme bliss by surrendering their individualities to the supreme entity. In so doing, they liberate themselves permanently from the bondage of Prakriti. This sadhana of salvation, which ultimately results in samadhi, is not a mental distortion. The mental state it creates can neither be called positive nor negative. The practice of sadhana for the attainment of samadhi is the way to progress along the path of spiritual vigor. There is no room for escapism on this spiritual march. Asarhi, Purnima 1959, DMC, Hasipur, Bihar.